Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook right here at TGI Sports Talk and the McGrath Podcast Network. Hope everybody had a great week. It's going to be a beautiful week here in the Northeast. If you're in like 3/4 of the country, good luck this weekend. It's going to be cold, windy, snowy, and probably the worst snowstorm we've had in forever. And if you listen to the news, you should probably run for the hills. With that, I want to introduce my very warm and very comfortable co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer, all-around sports guru, Jack Hirsch. Hello, Jack. How are you in that warm, sunny Florida?
Oh, good. You added that in. I thought you were going to leave that out, and it just said I was warm because I was just in one of the rooms in my place. But
no, it's your personality.
Listen, snow is beautiful as long as you don't have to navigate it. It's beautiful to watch, looking out your window, seeing the view. But then when the reality sets in as an adult and you got to drive, go places, then it becomes a nightmare. When it stops, the aftermath lasts a little while as well.
You got to get up and clean it up. I'm 65 years old, man. I can't.
Well, we were talking before the show. Imagine New England got to host the AFC Championship game. In a way, it's a blessing in disguise. They didn't. Imagine the game being played in New England, that the game was being played in Buffalo. Imagine that. I mean, getting to the game with the fans. I mean, the logistic nightmare. How are they going to clean parking lot stuff? And you were saying, well, they could delay the game a day or two. I can't see the game being played on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon. I mean, people have to go to work, their ratings. I know many moons ago, Keith, the World Series was played on weekdays, on work days. We're living in a different world now.
Right. I agree. And, it would be, and we don't have to worry about it because I think the weather in Denver is supposed to be pretty good, I think. So I think we don't need to worry about that, but it would be a logistical nightmare. I like chaos like that, but for the fans, we don't do that vacuum,
Even then, the New England fans who were planning on flying to Denver, who are still going to get there. I don't know how the airports are going to be, the arrangements getting to the airport.
We have a 6:00 flight Tuesday morning, and I don't know that our plane's going to be there. I don't know where it's coming from. We'll find out. My sister-in-law's a travel agent, so we'll figure all that out. But
you travel all over, Keith, but you don't travel to support your team. I never hear about you and your wife going to New England Patriot game on the road. Why is that?
I'm waiting for my press credentials so I get in for free. I don't need to be paying $400 a ticket. You kidding me? Jack, let me tell you something. In the 80s, from 80 to 91, we had season tickets for 10 games. 10 games, we paid $280. I can't get in the building for $280 right now. They wouldn't let me use the men's room for $280. So.
Well, let me tell you, when I was in high school, my Jets, the Joe Namath era, were playing. The year after they won the Super Bowl, they were playing a playoff game at home at Shea Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs. I bought a standing room only ticket beforehand, but I never actually stood. I'd always find a place sitting on the steps in the upper deck.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're a kid, you do stuff like that. I get to the game, it's a Saturday afternoon, and I'm astonished. Tickets available, regular seats. Why did I get a standing room? I exchanged my standing room seat and I get a seat behind the end zone. Okay, good seat behind the end zone. It's a freezing, bitter cold day, that particular day. And you see the game in the cold, but whatever. But the idea that tickets were available, the defending Super Bowl champion Jets against the Kansas City Chiefs, who had some future Hall of Famers on that team, highly touted. And it was windy, miserable conditions, but there's nothing like the snow. I mean, the wind affects the passing game. Okay, affects it a lot if there's severe wind. But snow, I mean, snow in itself doesn't get you, except for the footing, and of course, if it's bitterly cold, that's a difference maker as well.
It's interesting you said that. Last week's, I think it was the Bear-Rams game. Tom Brady was talking about because it was raining, I think, to start the game, and then it snowed a little bit after. But he said the rain and the ice and the cold is worse. Just give me snow. He says snow.
Yeah.
I can hold the football and a lot better.
Yeah.
It was everybody would like snow rather than other stuff. So.
But for receivers, the snow has a big effect on their.
How much was that ticket?
You're asking me, Brian, what the tickets cost. I remember during the regular season, I went to maybe nearly every Jet game, and I got standing room seats because they were sold out during the season. That's the ironic part about it. And I got $5 standing room seats. That's what it cost, standing room only, $5 a game. I forgot what it cost for the playoffs. It, was obviously more than that. I probably had to pay in that day and age a big $15 to $20.
And that's my $28 a game season ticket. Wasn't that bad, I guess. But anyway, enough about us. We'll talk a little bit here about the Miami-Indiana game to start it off. Then we'll move to NFL and coaching and playoff game news, real playoff game news, and some Major League Baseball. Hopefully today as well. Jack, Monday night we saw, I thought a pretty good game. Miami's defense played really well, but again, couldn't get off the field on some big third downs. A gutsy call by Curt Cignetti in the fourth quarter with the quarterback draw on 4th and 7 near the goal line. Mendoza doesn't just get the first down, but he gets a touchdown. He was going to kick the ball, called timeout, and decided to go for it. Great ballsy call. And great execution by Mendoza. A few controversies after the game, but listen, I think this was a pretty good football game, and Indiana is a damn good football team, I got to tell you. If I got to lose as a Miami fan, I'm not upset losing to the Indiana Hoosiers, or maybe the biggest story in the history of college football.
Well, it's always very upsetting when you lose a championship game like that, because it's so hard to get back to that point. But if you can ask me who the game was more important to, I'd say Indiana. The type of season they had, if they weren't going to win the college championship this year, somehow you kind of wonder, would they ever get it? At least Miami had past glories.
Yeah.
And it was a banner year from the Miami Hurricanes as well. But it was a winnable game for them at the end. A winnable game for the end. They handed, Indiana some points early on. And when they were down 10-0 at the half, you kind of wondered whether whether Miami would get back in the game. And I know when you're down 10-0, you're technically still in the game. But my thought was, Indiana went out there and they scored a touchdown, made the first score on a touchdown, went up 17-0. Miami's not coming back. Forget about it. But Miami hung in. They scored first. They made a game of it. And that final drive at the end, they had a chance to pull the game out. Carson Beck made a couple of good throws, but then, of course, he made a bad throw at the end. And I was watching the game like I was an NFL scout. Certain players, where they would go. And I was watching Carson Beck with particular interest because he was my guy for a good part of this year. And had he led the Hurricanes to a game-winning drive, winning the national championship, you'd think this guy could be something special. He would go in the first round then. I don't care what you say, Keith. still third round. No, he would have been a first rounder, even if it meant falling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no way he would have gotten past the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first
neither
round.
did Kenny Pickett, by the way, just as a point of reference. Neither did Kenny
Well, but
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett never led anyone to a national championship. I'm saying, had Beck done that,
Kenny
had
Beckett's
he done that,
a better
the
college player.
pressure would have been enormous on a team like the Steelers to pick Carson Beck, and he conceivably would have even gone to the Jets at number 16, the second of their two first rounders.
Never. Ty Simpson's got a better shot the first round than Carson Beck, and that's an outside shot. Carson Beck, I don't think hurt or helped himself. He's a back of second round, early third round. That's where you're going to see him get picked, I think. Again, you're right.
Now I agree with you. He's more like
you do, yeah. But let me just finish. You are right about one thing. There's always one dumb team out there that reaches for somebody, whether it be Simpson, whether it be Beck, whether it be your guy Chambliss, if he ends up in the
Chambliss is a must to get for the Jets. An absolute must if he's eligible for the draft
later.
Not late. I mean, I can understand the Jets are going second overall in the draft. You take Reese, you take Bain, etc. I understand that, but at number 16, he's there. You don't fool around. You don't fool around.
That is fooling around, by the way, because he's not the best player available at 16. He's just not. And he's not a guy who's going to.
But it's what he's become.
Listen, one other thing I took away from this game, too, with quarterbacks, while Mendoza played really well, he didn't play great. And he is not a guy who's going to step in. He's going to be the first pick in a draft. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
He should be.
He's not stepping in and leading any NFL team day one. He's a project. He is not a finished product.
I look at him as more than a project. I think he can be successful the first year. I mean, there's a certain amount of development that goes with Mendoza, but he'll be fine. He's got to step into the starting role. Mendoza is a battler, much the same way Caleb Williams is.
I'll give you that. I love the way he plays the game. I love his attitude. I love everything about him, except he's not. He needs to build himself up physically, which he will, and he needs some better mechanics at times.
I don't want to hear that's the physical part of it, that guys aren't physically developed.
How many quarterbacks look like him in the NFL? How many?
I mean, we heard the same thing about, Devontae Smith coming out of Alabama. He was too undersized.
He's not a quarterback.
It hasn't worked out that way, him being undersized. Come on.
I didn't say he's undersized. He's got plenty of size, but he doesn't have a lot of muscle, if you will. He's got it, and he'll get bigger.
That run for a touchdown. How much more physical can you get? When he willed himself over the goal line against a very good Michigan front, You saw him get beat up Monday night. He got beat up pretty good. He hung in. He did. He's a battler. I'll give you that. Can you think that a kid can survive 17 NFL games like that? No, he can't. Not right now. You don't count on him getting beaten up every week. That's anyone. No one is surviving getting beaten up each week. Mendoza has to play. The worst thing you can do for Mendoza is give him a clipboard and have him, sit behind some recycled veteran, who doesn't have a future as a starting quarterback for the Raiders.
I'm not sure who's AG?
AG. Aaron Glenn is thinking about resigning his position. Wow.
Well, that'd be breaking news, but
that's wild.
I was just all over that.
Why would he be thinking of resigning his position? And I don't know what Brian heard this. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, I'm not finding
Unless
anything.
he feels he's being stripped of certain powers. But what powers does he have anyway beyond coaching? But I guess he was in on the decision making before, and I guess they're going to tell him who he has to have as his quarterback, who he has to have as this, who he has to have as that.
My theory is
annoyed. I got news for you, Aaron. When you're 3-14, you don't exactly have leverage. Be happy you have the job. You're 3-14.
I don't think this is something that's going to happen. Brian, you might have something. I'm not saying you're wrong, but
Brian does like to stir up. I produce a little bit of controversy. See, I know what's going on. Oh, I see between it. The show, we got off to a slow start on this show. Keith talking about ourselves. We're arguing about Mendoza, and it's not
people
going
care about it.
Brian's trying to shake things up a little bit, our producer. So he's coming out with this rumor that Aaron Glenn is thinking about resigning. If he is thinking about resigning, why would he tell anyone? That's stupid.
I have a theory.
Stupid. You tell someone I'm thinking of resigning while you're still a head coach of the Jets. Unless he's hoping he gets fired and he could just collect his money, be on the easy street.
Let me give you a theory.
Be the defensive coordinator again, or what?
Let me give you a theory I have. Why, if this is true, which I'm dubious that it's true, I think he probably went to a meeting and he advocated for taking Chambliss at number 2, and he got laughed out of the room, and now he's embarrassed. That's what I think.
Well, we don't know if Chambliss is going to be available for the draft, so yes.
Oh, that's
true.
Listen,
my fear is this. The Jets at number 16 take Ty Simpson.
It's the Jets.
That's my fear. Take Ty Simpson.
I thought you said Mike Tyson.
The kid from Alabama, who has only started 15 games in his career, and his performances, instead of getting better, were actually getting worse. You don't take someone like that. The best thing you do if you're the Jets, if you can't get Trinidad Chambliss, Mendoza will be off the board. That's number one. If you can't get him, you wait until next year. You trade down if you have to. You have 3 first-round draft choices as is. You'll be able, and a number of good quarterbacks are coming out of the draft. So you'll be able to get someone really good next year. But
you're liable to get Arch Manning if he wants to come to New York, because you're going to be that bad next year if you don't have a quarterback. I guarantee you.
Well, can you imagine history repeated itself? Let's say Arch Manning had a great year at Texas next year, which he might. He's coming along nicely. Then he's eligible for the draft. And the Jets are eligible to draft him. And remember what happened with Peyton Manning.
Yeah, he stayed in school.
Archie Sr., Archie, the dad, wouldn't allow Peyton to be drafted. Peyton listened to his dad because he thought it would be a terrible fit, Peyton in New York, under Bill Parcells, all the criticism. But it's interesting what Archie said about his other son, Eli. He said with Eli, it's okay if he played in New York, because he'll allow the criticism to just roll off. It doesn't get to him, but Peyton, the criticism gets to him.
Yeah.
He takes it harder. So Peyton never wound up going to the Jets. But somehow I get the feeling that Arch Manning isn't the overly sensitive type. You just get the feeling, but I don't know. But if he is the sensitive type, this might not be the market for him.
Yeah, they're definitely 2 different personalities, 3 different personalities with Arch. I think Arch will take New York, but what do I know? I really don't know.
And it worked out. I thought about it. It worked out. Imagine Eli did go to San Diego. I mean, what would have been? He wouldn't have gone to a Super Bowl. He would have been successful to a point, gone to the playoffs a few times the way Phillip Rivers did.
And the Patriots
would have had a Super Bowl.
Patriots would have 8 Super Bowl rings, too, so. We got that.
Phillip Rivers, he would have been a giant. Even though Phillip Rivers was a marginally better quarterback than Eli Manning, Eli Manning was better at those late game drives. He was outstanding in the late game drives. And the feeling is Phillip Rivers wouldn't have led to 2 late game drives.
He was outstanding in 2 of them, I can tell you that for sure. So
yeah.
It is what it is. Anyway, just to finish up on Monday's game, anything. I think a lot got made out of Beck not shaking hands with Mendoza. I mean, I'd rather see him go out there, show some sportsmanship. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of emotion.
You want to know something? When did the rule come in that the quarterbacks have to shake hands?
There is no rule. It's
that there's such silliness going on that I get exasperated. A guy takes a foul shot in basketball. Everyone's coming to shake his hand after the shot. What kind of nonsense? They shouldn't let him take the darn foul shots. They come to him. It's like people sometimes keep a program like robots. They're conditioned into something.
Emotion happens, right? I mean, what wasn't a bigger story and maybe should have been is Mark Fletcher took a swing at Cobb at the end of the game, hit him in the helmet.
What was that all about?
Nobody knows. Cobb.
And then Mark Fletcher he was kneeling down in prayer with the group, leading the thing, going to the quarterback and shaking,
The only one who spoke on this is Cobb, and he said all I did was go over and say, great game, and he took a swing at me, and I think it was again emotional. They're doing their prayer thing at the end. Mark Fletcher's a classy kid from all reports out of Miami. And it was really out of character. And again, I think it was just an emotional reaction.
He went over and just said, great game, and he took a swing at him.
That's what Cobb says. That's the only one we have any reports for. Nobody at Miami's talking about it. This was in an Indiana newspaper on Tuesday. Cobb said, I didn't do anything. I don't know. Maybe something happened during the game, too. Who knows? So
yeah, sometimes guys do take, and I'm not saying this was the case at all. But sometimes guys take cheap shots during the game. Look,
we don't know.
I'm just giving you an example. This didn't happen in this case. If this guy tries to poke you in the eye with his finger, it could seriously hurt you. And then he wants to shake your hand after the game. You have every right not to shake the darn guy's hand.
I agree. I think it was a lot about nothing, and I don't worry about it. People are like, NFL draft teams are going to be looking at that. No, they're not.
We're talking about Keith. What do you mean we're talking about it? You say it's much ado about nothing.
No, I'm talking about.
You are analyzing the situation.
I'm talking about the report. The people getting all worked up about it. Why are they getting worked up? That's what I'm talking about.
You need a subplot, Keith. The game itself is great. But if you could add a little into it, it's even better. Look, what was the big story in the Bears comeback against the Packers? It was less the comeback than the Ben Johnson handshake with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, who cares, right? Who cares?
That's what we're talking about more.
Bill Belichick.
Listen, the worst handshake I ever saw, the worst gesture I ever saw was Jim Harbaugh with Jim Schwartz. The way Jim Harbaugh disrespectfully shoved Jim Schwartz's hand away.
He didn't. That's wrong, by the way. He shook his hand and he patted him on the back, and then Schwartz chased him off the field.
No, he just shoved his hand. Why would Schwartz chase him on? Like, what's your problem?
Brian, you speak up on this. I remember this. He was very enthusiastic. He was excited about winning the game. He shook his hand and patted him hard on the back, and Schwartz chased him off the field. That's what happened.
So we had an incident, by the way, a little similar to that in tennis yesterday at the Australian Open. Naomi Osaka. Yeah. At the end of the game, she won the game, and her opponent gave her a handshake while she was moving, very cold. And Osaka said, "What's the problem?" And then the opponent basically, told us something. But the report is Osaka was talking between sets, not following the tennis etiquette, however you pronounce the darn word. Okay, I'm sounding like Archie Bunker now.
You're an educated guy. Come on.
But Osaka wasn't following certain codes of a sport. For example, if a golfer is about to hit the ball, you're quiet. You don't say anything at that moment. Or if there's a pop-up hit to an infielder, the runner shouldn't go boo for him to, drop the ball. There's certain things certain conduct codes that are to be respected. And apparently Osaka really didn't respect it.
Brian's finding some information that I didn't see. He says that Tucker made some comments about Fletcher's deceased father, which is really crossing the line. So.
Wow. Well, if he did it even during the game to get an edge, that, to me, that should come under the taunting rule. Okay?
I agree 100%. Game's
I mean,
over.
even if it's during a play, taunting shouldn't just be after play.
Yeah.
It should be while the game is going on, even while it plays in motion. There's certain things you just don't do.
I think
That's
this
why I always thought.
I think it took place after.
Kevin Garnett would act like a despicable individual at times from things I heard, the things he would say. The same with Gary Payton. There's certain lines you just don't cross.
Agreed.
You just don't cross. And I don't want to hear like, I'll do anything to win.
That's classless for sure. Classless for sure. And listen, I want to give Indiana, mostly I want to give them props. Before I heard this, I would have given them 100%. Now I'm only going to give them about 95. Indiana comported themselves very well in this game as far as they're keeping their emotions in check. Miami was a little, they had a targeting call that should have been called when Thomas hit Mendoza right in the freaking chin with his helmet. That had to be a target. That's not targeting. There shouldn't be a rule. And nobody from Indiana retaliated. To their credit, that could have been a worse situation. And Mendoza got up. To your point about his toughness, he just got up, spit out some blood, and went out and kept playing. So,
I thought the officials showed a lot of restraint throughout the game with their non-calls.
They did. They were going to let him play, and that was one call though that should not have been let go.
Tony never really made a big play, in the game.
Fourth quarter, he had a couple of decent plays.
But I mean, I'm not blaming him. It's hard, but he was the atomic bomb, Michigan. I mean Miami. Excuse me. That you would think that he would break through. You were hoping he would break off a big play, but it didn't happen. But look, the game was there for Miami at the end.
Listen,
the interception he threw, I mean, he wasn't quite in a situation where he needed a desperation heave.
No, was 40 plus seconds left on the clock. They didn't need to go for there. Now, if he throws a good pass there, it's got a potential to be a touchdown, but he doesn't throw a good pass. So, but I thought it was biting off too much there. Listen, fun game. If you told me before,
by the way, Jets don't have a third round selection. Jets go 2, 16, 33, and 44. Would you take them with the 44th overall selection in the second round?
If I was desperate for a quarterback, maybe.
No. If you're the Jets, obviously the Jets are desperate. Come on, Keith.
I'm not that desperate. I
wouldn't take them at 44. Wow.
No.
Okay, Trinidad Chambliss.
No.
You take them at 16.
No way.
You go 30.
Trinidad Chambliss. He's rated in the 60s.
Listen, there's no way I don't take him. No way I don't take him. Even if I'd have to, after I use my second round selection on maybe, Bain or Reese, I move down from 16 if I have to rather than risk anything. But, there's more time to talk about the draft as we get closer.
Let's move on because, again, congratulations, Indiana, because they played a great game, well coached. This is a great story, maybe the best story of all time in college football in my mind. But let's move on to the professional football. Excuse me. We got coaching moves. Half the jobs have been filled now, and I want to get into the Bills situation a little bit too. We don't have to dive too deep today into the coaching situations. We can do that. I think you got home runs myself in New York. I think you got a home run in Atlanta. I love Stefanski, and I think it's a great fit in Atlanta. I think Robert Saleh gets a deserved second shot in Tennessee. I think he deserves it. Jeff Hafley has some ties up here locally to Siena and was a coach at UAlbany for a few years. He's well respected, probably a good hire for Miami, going with a defensive coach rather than an offensive coach this time. And Jesse Minter, I don't know that much about, but I like what's happening so far. Any thoughts on these hires?
I think it's highly overrated. You talk about offensive coach, defensive coach, and this and that. It's overrated. Look, Aaron Glenn was a defensive coach, and the Jets' defense broke down during the year. Come on. So I just don't want to hear an offensive coach developing the quarterback. If the quarterback is really good, he's going to be good. It's just the offensive coordinator. He makes a big difference, don't get me wrong, with certain quarterbacks. But getting to the individuals, I think Robert Salah with the Tennessee Titans is a great fit because Salah's in a situation where he can lose the first year. As long as he's working towards something, the teams are work in progress, they're developing, he'll be fine. He's not in a win now mode. He's not in a New York market or a team expected to really, win now, as I said. John Harbaugh going to the Giants, they're going to improve with John Harbaugh, and it's going to start next year.
That's a home run.
Miami, Miami, they've got to find their quarterback of the future. You can't say that it's Quinn Ewers. It's possibly it would be. And, it just, the Buffalo Bill job is intriguing because basically it's Super Bowl or bust. I mean, anyone taking over that job, they can go 13-4 in the regular season and then lose in the AFC Championship game, and the Bills organization won't think they had a successful year.
I personally think
they're situation to be in.
I think they know to hire Joe Brady myself, but
I think Brian Daboll will be hired personally. I mean, Brady was supposed to be on the hot seat as the offensive coordinator, it seemed like early in the year, or last year.
Possibly.
Remember, he was on the hot seat. Now, what do you want him as head coach?
This whole situation, though, is just ugly. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. There is no more classless owner in the NFL than Terry Pegula. None. Zero. For him to throw Sean McDermott under the bus the way he did, you can fire him. You can fire him and say, we can't get any further with this coach. If you want to do that, you can do it. He said he fired him for one game, by the way. One game. He only fired him because of the Broncos game, which is stupid in itself.
The playoff fatigue.
Let me go on my tirade, Jack. I give you plenty of tirades. And I'll let you, believe me, I'll let you comment. Then he throws him under the bus for Keon Coleman. As the press is grilling Bean about the Keon Coleman drafting, he stops them and says, let me address this. Brandon didn't want him. The coaches did, and McDermott did, and they pushed for him, and it's their fault. You can fire him, but you don't need to throw him under the bus. This team went 18 years without a playoff appearance before Sean McDermott got there and took you to playoffs 8 out of 9 years. He's a classy individual. He did a great job in Buffalo. He didn't get him over the top. You can fire him, but don't back up the bus 5 times over him. He's classless, Terry Pegula, and I wouldn't take a job out there. I think, and Josh Allen has come out and spoken against his coach getting fired. You got a mess up there. Josh Allen's going to want out of there next.
I don't remember Josh Allen really going public and speaking out against it. What did Josh Allen say exactly?
He said that Terry was the best coach for this organization, and I'm sad to see him go, basically.
Sean McDermott, you mean, was the best coach?
Yeah. Yes. He's the only coach he
played.
Yeah,
and usually a move like that, unless you really can't stand the coach, you don't fire him if he's the guy for Josh Allen, if he's Josh Allen's guy. But with that said, was there any justification to fire him based on performance?
If a Super Bowl is your standard, as it is for me, of course, I say this a lot, right? You know how hard I am about guys who can't get over the top on my teams. I get it. If you want to fire him, I'm fine with that. I don't think it's smart in this case, but
no, Terry Pegula, their owner, never speaks up. You never hear him speak up. This is like a first.
This is a good reason why he doesn't speak, by the way.
He should have kept it short and sweet, but what he did, he started to vent. He was acting like he was on a show like ours instead of being at a press conference. He was
That's what I'd be like.
And the thing about Keon Coleman, well, I never wanted to draft him. That was Sean McDermott. Well, Keon Coleman's still on your roster. You better trade Keon Coleman now. How's Keon Coleman going to feel? Right. But I'm going to give Bean a lot of credit. he went against his owner, the GM, even though they're close. He said, no, that was my draft pick. That's the guy I wanted. But then again, if you're Coleman, you wonder why the owner would say that. But the owner was saying, well, Bean wanted to just go along with the coaching staff because he's a team player. So he drafted him to accommodate the coaching staff. But reportedly, McDermott saw the owner and the GM during the season.
5 weeks
said,
before
this roster isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And maybe it set him the wrong way. Maybe they felt they gave McDermott everything he wanted. And now he's making an excuse.
That meeting absolutely happened. Sean McDermott isn't the reason the talent wasn't there. Brandon Bean had that control. Now he's got even more control, and he gets a pass. And Brian, he doesn't get. Hold on. I just want to answer Brian's question. He didn't get. The reason Bean's still there is he didn't hire McDermott. That's why.
Wait. The Giants, look at the coaches the Giants have fired. With Brian DeBall came with Joe Shine. How does Joe Shine survive with the Giants? You could say they should have been fired, He should have been fired as well.
That's a different
situation.
situation.
The Giants situation is going to be interesting because John Harbaugh reportedly and contractually has full control. He can bypass the GM and go right to ownership.
He's already doing it. He's already doing is reorganizing the front office, for crying out loud, and the training staff, and he's doing a lot of stuff.
I wonder what the deal is going to be with the draft. What the deal is going to be. Now, I don't know John Harbaugh, but he strikes me as the type of guy, and maybe I'm completely wrong, who might work closely with Joe Shine with the draft and respect Joe Shine's input. You would hope that would be the case, but, we'll see.
Let me go back to Michael's question here. Do I think reportedly McDermott's already interviewed for a DC position? I can't remember where. Might have been Green Bay. But if I'm Sean McDermott, I should be able to get a coach. I should be able to get a head coaching job if I want one today. There's still 5 jobs open. I got to believe some of those teams would be interested.
I'm going to tell you what the least desirable head coaching job open would be at Pittsburgh. You don't have a quarterback there. The team is not going to be better next year. I mean, the team wasn't bad. They won the division. They won 10 games.
They don't fire coaches either.
And you take that position at Pittsburgh. The fan base wanted Tomlin out because they're tired of not going to the playoffs. You go 7-10 that first year, they're going to drive you out of town.
No, they're not. They didn't drive anybody out of town. They don't fire people in Pittsburgh. I mean,
no. But what is the fan base going to say? Bring back Tomlin at that point? A couple of losing seasons in a row, they're going to say, "Wow."
But the organization
really appreciate Mike Tomlin.
The organization in Pittsburgh is smart. They don't listen to the fan base because they know don't know what the hell they're talking about most of the time. You say that yourself.
I'm going to tell you, if it's true, if Aaron Glenn was talking about resigning I kind of what's going on with that. That story we heard earlier. Brian wouldn't have mentioned it unless it was heard somewhere by, I would hope, a semi-reliable source. I hope Brian wasn't, changing messages with his friends on, on social media, text message buddies.
You may have missed
information there.
You may have missed this one. He said it was a weak rumor.
Oh, come on, Brian. Don't do that again, please. Don't do that again.
So I could have told you he was trying to do that. So,
yeah.
Where was I? So we talked about just to get a couple of things. Again, I have no problem with McDermott.
It wasn't one playoff game. He did not get fired based on one playoff game.
No,
it was more for what?
I agree with you. But the owner he literally said during that press conference he was fired because of Saturday's game. He said that.
Well, they lost. Had they gone to, if the Bills won the Super Bowl this year, McDermott wasn't going to get fired. That would have been ludicrous. That wasn't going to happen. If they won a couple of more games, he wasn't going to get fired. I mean, the way they lost the game, it was a heartbreaking game. obviously the owner didn't like McDermott. He was fed up with him. He was emotional. That's why he was talking the way he did at the press conference. He didn't want to know from him anymore. It was somewhat personal at that stage.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
in all fairness, as successful as McDermott was as the Buffalo Bill head coach, the bottom line, at the end of the day, they never quite got to the Super Bowl with this. What? When was he there? 9 years?
9 years. You got to the
7 years?
playoffs times.
Yeah, you listen. He was a successful coach.
Let me remind you, right?
Coach.
And let me remind you.
Let him go to the Ravens. I think he wins there.
That's a great spot for him, actually. To be honest, I think that's a great spot. And before you bring up me and Aaron Boone, when I say, coaches should get fired for not winning, there's different situations. Boone's in an organization used to winning, and this is an organization that the Bills didn't get to the playoffs for 18 years before he got there. Come on. It's crazy. To me, it's crazy. But that's his prerogative.
Hey, listen, if you want to talk another sport, what was it in 2017? Joe Girardi got fired for losing a 7-game series, 1 game away from going to the World Series, and he got fired. Or maybe he didn't get fired. His contract had expired, and they didn't sign him to a new contract. They wanted to move on from him.
I was still getting fired.
And that's a good way of putting it. Girardi actually never got fired, but of course, if a team doesn't re-sign a coach or manager, the perception is that they got fired.
You're fired. That's all there is to it. I don't want you back. You're fired. So he wanted to come back, so he's fired. What's Frank?
Listen, what's Laterzo talking about? He was with the group that egged the house. He didn't throw the eggs, but he was standing in the back. He has nothing to do with it.
He bought the eggs for the eggs. Is that what he did?
Laterzo, you get Laterzo's picture standing with those guys, egg houses, and he's just standing. And then Laterzo later says, "No, something was happening. I was just curious, and I just walked over to see what was happening."
That's pretty funny. They are having a little trouble hiring an offensive coordinator. I heard Daboll was going there, and then all of a sudden he's not. So I don't know what's going on.
Daboll doesn't have a lot of options when you think of it. Why is Daboll this hot coaching candidate? In Buffalo, it's another matter. He spent 4 years with the Bills. He's very familiar with Josh Allen. Josh Allen probably likes him a lot. He would be a good fit there. He would be a better fit than Joe Brady. I mean, Daboll is an excellent fit for Buffalo, for nowhere else. But for the Buffalo Bills, I think he'd be a really good fit.
We had a great relationship with Josh Allen, that's for sure. So, what's Brian got here? McDermott was defensive-minded head coach yet. Yeah, well, again, that's just because I say you hire defensive-minded coaches, it doesn't mean that they win. Look at everybody likes to talk about the Ravens 2001. That came up a lot this year because of defense possibly winning Super Bowls. Brian Billick was an offensive genius, according to people, and they had a horrible offense the whole time he was there. It was defense that won everything for Brian Billick. So it doesn't always mean, I'm not saying that your team's going to get better necessarily, but you got quarterbacks, you need offensive people. Going back to Daboll and I'm sorry, not Daboll, Saleh in Tennessee, he needs to bring in, yes, he has some time, but he needs to bring in an offensive guy to really improve his quarterback situation. Because as much as I love that kid, he's still got a lot of the bad habits he had in college. So,
Well, with Cam Ward, the jury's still out on how good Cam Ward is. I mean, we're going to see as time goes by. I'm not completely sold, on Cam Ward, but we'll see. I think he could be a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's not going to be, but I'm not saying with absolute confidence that he's going to be an elite quarterback. But you're right. You got to get Cam Ward the right offensive coordinator. You got to get him some weapons, which they clearly don't have. But when you're doing the draft, you get the best players available. So you're saying with Salah, the Titans should draft offensive players to help out Cam Ward. But then again, Salad's a
the best guys
defensive
available.
coach. Let Salad draft the right defensive players. Okay,
Listen,
he's going to have them out there. Let him get a pass rusher like a Reuben Bain.
I think Reuben Bain is in play for them for sure. Absolutely, 100%. I agree. I see Frank's name come up. Frank Laterzo should go to the store.
Come on, let's talk sports here. I mean, come on. I mean,
Jack's taking a beating today. I like to get a little shots at Jack here. Anyway, let's move on to this weekend's games. As you mentioned earlier, it's probably a good thing the Pats are playing in Denver and not in New England for the sake of fans and players alike. Maybe not my enjoyment, but at least the Patriots and Broncos.
Can I give you a long-range pick, Keith?
Sure.
2 playoff games and the Super Bowl at this point. I think New England is going to win at Denver, and I think the Rams are going to win at Seattle. The 2 road teams win, and I think the Rams beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl in their Super Bowl rematch. That's what I could see winding up. But the X factor in Sunday's game at Denver, with the Patriots going there, it's going to be the former Patriot, Stidham.
Jared
Stidham.
Who spent a lot of time watching.
At what level can he perform at? Maybe he'll surprise us and perform at a very high level because he's been with the team already a couple of years.
Yeah.
He's been in practice all the time. He's not a stranger to this. I mean, he never quite hit his projected potential as maybe being a starter in the NFL. He was given the opportunity, just wasn't quite good enough to turn the corner. If he was, Denver never would have drafted Bo Nix. They would have had their quarterback. But they looked at him as a guy who was a tweener. He was kind of like another Jacoby Brissett. They're looking at Stidham as
very close. That's a good comparison.
But Brissett has played a lot of NFL games. Stidham hasn't had a snap since 2023.
Well, the difference between those two guys is Brissett showed he could manage a game, right? He's never going to win a lot of games for you, but he can manage a game and not, minimize.
No, I got a big criticism of Sean Payton. Big. Why wasn't Stidham put in any situation where he could have played more this year, had some snaps, thrown some passes? You get your backup quarterbacks ready for this situation. You don't keep them glued to the bench, and then in an emergency, they come in cold. They should have gotten them ready just in case. I don't mean you can't put them in a close game because Bo Nix has to be in a close game. Yeah. But I'm sure Denver had some big leads, or they were far behind, or something like that this year, where Peyton could have gotten Stidham some work that would have been invaluable that he didn't get.
Listen, if I had to, and again, I don't expect this to happen, he may play okay. If I had to have a coach to get a guy ready to play, I think Sean Payton's a pretty good choice to do that. So I don't expect Stidham to go out there and absolutely stink up the joint, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to win this game. Obviously, I'm a Pats fan, but the Patriots have played pretty well, and they're going to get an asterisk next to their name and for forever, probably, because they didn't play anybody at full strength. They played bad teams, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of hearing it. You go out and you beat the teams that are in front of you. They're playing really good football. Their defense is playing everybody talks about Seattle, and I do too. The defense is playing as well as anybody in football right now. And I think that's what's going to carry the day a little bit here in Mile High. Keep them, and hopefully the offense keeps them fresh so that they don't run out of gas in the fourth quarter in a close game. I don't expect them to blow the Broncos out. Peyton will keep this game close. He'll find a way.
I wonder New England's traveling arrangements when they were planning on getting to Denver. They probably left already. The snow didn't begin. They haven't been affected yet. So they were. I mean, the last thing the Patriots would need would be any type of long delay.
Well, today would be the latest they were going. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
If they went earlier. Actually, they're not scheduled to fly to Denver until Saturday.
Wow. Now,
and
when's the snow supposed to begin coming down heavily?
Sunday morning.
Okay, so they can beat it, and
yeah, they'll be out of town. But
the Rams Seattle game to me is the game I look forward to more. I mean, I don't know why. I look forward to both games, of course, but what a matchup that's going to be.
just real
The
quick,
Rams defense.
one last thing before we leave the Patriots. Again, I think this is a huge mistake leaving on Saturday. I would have left like Tuesday to get acclimated to the altitude.
Yeah,
but
you can't get acclimated in one
maybe
extra day. It's not going to get you acclimated.
I would think it would be better than no days. So, they're not going to get any run-throughs in the altitude till game time. So, anyway.
I mean, if you're well prepared and you're completely focused, you could go to the game, get off the plane, and head right to the stadium and put the gear on and play. I mean, really, it's a mindset at this point. Obviously, after sooner preparation is great.
So we can move on now to the late game Sunday at 6:30, 6:45, whatever it is. The Rams go to Seattle. This is the third matchup this year. They've split their two games previously. Seattle's playing really well. I don't know whether the Charbonneau injury is going to hurt them a lot with the way Kenny Walker's been playing. Their defense has been really good. The only way I see Seattle losing this game, I know you like the Rams, and I'll let you go in a second. The only way I see Seattle losing this game is they need to rely on Sam Darnold to win it. If they can run the football and their defense keeps the Rams off the scoreboard more than the Seattle's on the scoreboard, I think Seattle wins this game. I think it'll be close. If they need Sam Darnold to go out and win this game, I have my doubts whether that can happen. But I like Seattle to win the game.
I think Sam Darnold can go out and win the game. Win the game for Seattle if he has to. I mean, if he has to lead them on a big drive at the end of the game, he's fully capable of doing it. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that, have we?
Yeah, but if you compare him to Matthew Stafford, you'd have more confidence in Matthew Stafford. Let's 100%. Be honest about it.
100%.
And I mean, I have more confidence in the Ram offense overall. Nakua, okay, and Devontae Adams, and there's a bit of a story. Cooper Kupp though for Seattle. That would be a major story. Could you imagine Cooper Kupp is the difference maker in this game and Seattle wins? And he catches a touchdown pass at the end. Seattle basically, they win with a great defense for the most part. And the Ram defense wasn't as good the second half of the season as they were the first half. So we might think that they're trending in the wrong direction. But against the Bears, they were up to the task in Chicago. They were up to the task. And they put Caleb Williams under severe pressure, for a good part of the game.
They did a good job.
Doing it with Sam Darnold. They're one game away from the Super Bowl. Ram defense is going to be fine.
Everybody's fine. Yeah, let me be clear. Everybody that's here deserves to be here. So, again, going back to the whole asterisk thing with the Patriots, but the Rams deserve to be here. People say, well, they should have lost in Chicago. Well, guess what? They didn't. All that matters is you come away there with a win. There's no points for style. There's none of that. All you got to do is get a W. And Matthew Stafford, well, I'm still taking Seattle. But Matthew Stafford, if I've got to trust a guy, right? We did a trust factor rating before the playoffs started. I trust Matthew Stafford a lot more than I trust Sam Darnold in a big spot. Sam Darnold's done a great job of contributing this team, managing the games. He's done a great job. And, game manager isn't necessarily a bad thing. We talk about it like it's a derogatory thing. Managing a game is an important part of being a quarterback in the NFL. And he does that well. It's just, again, if it comes down to a quarterback at the end of the game, I don't want Darnold I don't want, I guess I don't want Darnold with the ball, with a chance to win. But the guy who's most likely to leave a game-winning drive is going to be Stafford. So they don't want it to be close enough and give the Rams the ball back with a chance to win late.
Well, everyone has to all quarterbacks have to manage the game. We know that. When we say game manager, we mean a really good game manager. That's what we mean.
Exactly.
Sam Darnold hasn't been put in a position to go out, and win games the way Matthew Stafford has. but somehow you get the feeling Matthew Stafford elevates the Rams. Sam Darnold fits in very well with Seattle, and he should be their franchise quarterback going forward.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with
It
that.
should be that way. No one's knocking down Sam Darnold. He's proven himself the last 2 years. But with that being said, you can't forget the last 2 games as a Viking quarterback. And I don't want to blame it on his offensive line, because it was the same offensive line he had throughout the regular season for the Minnesota Vikings. So I don't want to hear that talk. I mean, all quarterbacks are under duress. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. Let's state that. He is a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer. There's a difference.
There's a big difference. He's going to be the MVP, I would say, as well. We saw the finals. Any comment there? I don't think there's any doubt Matthew Stafford's the MVP. The numbers are there, and also
What about Drake May?
What's that?
Drake May.
Drake May will probably finish second in my mind. Allen's a finalist. Who else is a finalist?
It depends how you look at it. With Buffalo didn't win their division. They had an off year, 12-5. 12-5. Imagine that being an off year. But it was a soft 12-5. But what would Buffalo have been without Josh Allen altogether? I could argue that he's more valuable to his team than anyone else has been to theirs.
Well, listen.
Just a thought.
To answer your question, though, without Allen and without May, the Bills and Patriots probably are both 4-game winners. I mean, they're not winning a lot of games.
Just to veer a little bit to baseball quickly here. The Yankees signed Cody Bellinger. The Mets made a deal with the Milwaukee Braves, getting a real good pitcher, Freddie Peralta. With the Brewers. The Mets made a deal with Milwaukee, the Brewers. What did I say?
My good neighbor Tom Dobney is here picking the Patriots. Thank you, Tom, for showing up today. Good to see you. You did say the Milwaukee Braves, by the way.
But I wonder if Bo Nix was playing, just backtracking, would I have picked Denver? The Bo Nix, I don't know. I'm not saying I would have.
What? It's a huge deal in the game, because they would have been 4.5-point favorites most likely, and the Patriots are 4.5-point favorites on the road without it.
Can you imagine reverse if Drake May wasn't playing? He was out, and
Nix was playing?
Oh, Nix was in, and Tommy DeVito was starting for New England. I wouldn't have picked the Patriots under that scenario. But we have history. Jeff Hostetler. Look what happened with the Giants in the playoff games. So there's a history. Come in and win.
He played half the season, though. He didn't come in and play in the Super Bowl. He played half the season leading up to the Super Bowl. So, he led them all the way there, basically. Sims went out.
A little less than half the season he played.
He played 6. They were playing 16 games. He played 6 games in all the playoffs. So he played 9 games. So, he wasn't just getting thrown into the fire like Stidham is. So. Anyway, back to baseball. Yes, Bellinger signs a good contract, 5 years, $162 million, couple of outs.
He has opt-out in the second and third year. He can opt out. I know, Keith, you love those opt-outs.
I hate opt-outs, man. I make you a freaking gazillionaire, and I got to give you opt-outs besides when you think your contract's absolute.
Keith, my favorite is the bonus. You make the All-Star team. You're making $30 million a year. I'm not saying that's in Bellinger's contract. Other guys, it's in. You get a bonus.
$50,000.
Let me just comment. Billy Martin said it best years ago when he was in the broadcast booth with Bill White. Bill White was egging him on, and Billy Martin was getting madder and madder. So the guy gets the team bus on time. He gets a bonus.
I love Billy. The Mets, I think, a nice trade. You'd caught me. I missed the Peralta trade. Good trade. He's a good pitcher. We'll see how he pitches in New York. And I like the Robert trade too. The kid's been down for 2 years, but he had some great years before that. And I got a feeling he's still young enough that I think there's some baseball left in him. You compared it to the Jazz Chisholm trade for the Yankees before we went on, and that's probably a fair comparison. Chisholm had kind of fizzled out in Miami, and the Yankees took a chance on him. He's played really good baseball, so that might be a good trade.
But you never know how these deals work out, because when a team trades prospects, sometimes those prospects turn into like Hall of Fame caliber players. You never know, and other times they never even make the big club.
Sometimes a change of scenery is helpful, right? Lastly, on baseball, I want to touch on this. The Hall of Fame voting was this week. Carlos Beltran, speaking of the Mets, makes it the Hall of Fame along with Andrew Jones. And I can't remember who's going in with the old timers. I think Richie Allen and Dave Parker.
Andrew Jones, all those Golden Gloves. I think he had 11 Golden Gloves. What?
10 straight. 10 in a row.
Right. But what was the difference between him and Jim Edmonds, for example? And Jim Edmonds isn't close to being a Hall of Famer. They were pretty similar in their statistics for the most part. Their offensive statistics were reasonably close overall. I mean, Jones hit more homers. Edmonds hit from much high average. And Edmonds had virtually the same amount of Golden Gloves. He was virtually the same player in center field. He was as good.
Let me check the Gold Gloves.
It was like the Mattingly-Hernandez debate,
He won 7 Gold Gloves, Jim Edmonds. Andrew Jones played on better. Yeah. Listen,
okay.
I bet you're right. I think they're very similar players. And I think defense doesn't get taken into account enough when we're talking about the Hall of Fame.
I've been guilty of that.
I mean, I've heard people say neither one of these guys belong in the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you that Beltran, I would take, if I had to choose one of these guys, I'm taking Andrew Jones over Carlos Beltran. If I could only have one of them.
If I could have one of them for their whole career from beginning to end, I think I'd take Beltran. I'll be honest about it.
I like that
Beltran
defense.
was an excellent outfielder, and he hit, better hitter.
Andrew Jones was a really good offensive player the first half of his career. The end of his career, he was not a good offensive player. Beltran was more consistent for a longer period of time.
And what Beltran did in the postseason was much better.
The other big piece of news coming out of this, to me, is also the fact that a guy that I think is better than either one of these guys, at least with the stick, Manny Ramirez is done. He's off the ballot now. He didn't get enough votes. Wasn't even close.
Because of the PEDs and all that. Twice he got busted. I mean, that's the reason. Look, I mean, if you ignore the PEDs and all that talk about it, the rumors and innuendos when the guys actually got caught. I mean, Bonds is in, Clemens is in, A-Rod is in, Manny Ramirez is in, Sammy Stokes is in, Rafael Palmeiros, and you don't even hear Rafael Palmeiros' name. Yeah. And that Fingerwag hurt him big time. So those guys, Gary Sheffield, no one makes a case for him. I mean, but there's some suspicion with Sheffield. No, Sheffield strikes me the wrong way. Moody guy. I think
that's how, Omar Vizquel, we talk about defense. Omar Vizquel, I think, should get more consideration for the Hall of Fame. I really do. Bo's bringing it up.
Well, if you're talking about defense and breaking it down, Greg Nettles was one of the top 5 easily in the top 5 defensive third basemen of all time. Easily. Top 5. I've made this argument for a long time. Well, you can even place them number 1 if you wanted, even though most people give an edge to Brooks Robinson.
He's not number 1. He's in the top 5.
Right.
And that he's
not even in Monument Park with the Yankees.
That's a crime. That's a crime.
What a joke that is. Don't they realize what's going on?
He's never getting the Hall of Fame. The last time I went ballistic on this is when Scott Rowland got in. If Scott Rowland's in the Hall of Fame, there's no way Greg Nettles doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. I'm telling you right now.
I'm more annoyed he's not in Monument Park. The Yankees could take care of it. Have a day for Greg Nettles, put him in Monument Park, and put Roy White in Monument Park.
We'll run out of it's absurd. We put every single player who played in the 90s in Monument Park. Everybody's there. The ball boys in Monument Park for that team.
I mean, it's a disgrace. It's an embarrassment.
I agree.
And not only that, it's an insult to Yankee fans like myself who witnessed Nettles and Roy White play those years.
Also, speaking of the Yankees, a guy we talk about a lot when we're talking about the Hall of Fame is Andy Pettitte, and he did make a little move. He's been moving up significantly. He got to 48% of the vote this time. He's got 2 more shots. Guys who get to this point often.
Andy Pettitte wasn't a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher. He was tremendously respected. Well, he wasn't.
Wait a minute. I got timeout. I have to call you out on this because you say that if he spent his entire career with the Yankees, he'd be a Hall of Fame candidate.
Only because he would have more total victories than any other Yankee pitcher.
What's that got to do with the Hall of Fame?
Wait. It has a little. Listen, these things add up. Alonso is going to be
the same. His resume is the same, other than he's not the all-time Yankee win leader, right? I mean, if he stayed with the Yankees the whole time, and I agree with you, he'd have a better shot. He belongs in now too. He only played with 2 different teams.
I'd like to take the naked eye test, Keith. Andy Pettitte, you take a staff of aces. You put him on the Red Sox with Pedro and Schilling. He's clearly number 3, not even close. Not even close with Roger Clemens. But not even close with Clemens. But if you put Clemens, Pedro, Schilling, Randy Johnson, guys like that together, they're all close. I mean, Schilling was a greater pitcher than Andy Pettitte. Let's be honest about it. But Schilling was a jerk.
He's not in the Hall of Fame because of his attitude, right? That's it.
His attitude, yeah. How come no one mentioned Schilling? Schilling said take his name off after a while. Because
this is why he's been more controversial after he retired than before. So I don't know. I had something I was going to say about Pettitte, but I forgot.
You could talk about the postseason, but he had the opportunity in the postseason. You know what made me think too? People keep talking about rings, this and that. And I think I maybe mentioned it to you if I didn't just think about it. Mickey Mantle has 7 rings, supposedly, 7 world championships. Did they give out rings in the old days?
Yeah, they give out.
Willie Mays has 1. So why does everyone regard Willie Mays as the greater player? But if this were the NBA and football, Tom Brady has 7 rings. Aaron Rodgers has 1.
He also has the numbers to go along with it, though, too. It's not like Brady. It's not like he only has, it's not like he's Trent Dilfer and has got 7 rings. He's Tom Brady with the best numbers out there, too. I mean, think about it.
I mean, but baseball's the one sport you don't put emphasis on the rings. Championships, which is right. People understand, and correctly so. I support that attitude.
I still think
the other sports, I don't like the attitude.
Mickey too. If Mickey was obviously, if Mickey stayed healthy, I think he would have had every bit of the career that Mays had. I think you'd look at him the same way.
Well, I remember, Mays got the separation the last 4 years of Mickey's career where he was broken down, beat up. But I was astonished not that long ago. I took a peek at Mickey Mantle's final years because I heard an old interview. Mickey Mantle said, all I did was walk at the end of my career. They would keep walking me. And I looked and I said, man, this guy, what was he, leading the American League in walks when he was washed up?
Yeah.
And now today, that would count for something big with analytics. Well, Mickey's getting on base still.
Mickey regretted playing that last year, even though he got his 500th home run, because it took him under 300 for his career, too. So,
yeah, well,
kind of sad. Anyway, we went a little over today, but a lot of stuff to cover. Speaking of the Super Bowl, Jack and I I'll be away the next couple of weeks. Jack's got some stuff going on this coming Friday. We'll be live on Monday, but then we'll have a couple of tape shows. But the Friday before the Super Bowl, we will have a Super Bowl related show, and we'll talk about that. Maybe the Hall of Fame in the NFL we'll talk about a little bit too on that Super Bowl show. But we got some other good shows for you to fill in the gaps as well. Check out Jack tomorrow on the debate show, which is always good with him and Brian and J Mark. Jesus Christ. James Martin. And I'll be back Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. And you guys, if you're in the Northeast or you're anywhere in the snow path, which is about 200 million people, everybody but Jack is in snow danger this week. You guys be safe, be smart, and just watch some football and have some fun. Jack,
come on, let's finish up the talk, Keith. I got to get to the pool. I mean, come on, the outdoor pool hangout.
I got to go warm up the snowblower. Jack's going to the pool. All right, cool. Hey, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.